Hey guys, all right, let's just jump right into this explainer. If you've ever felt like your brain is running a completely different, much heavier operating system than everyone else around you, well, you're in the exact right place. Today, we're unlocking the hidden mechanics of deep thinkers, diving into a fascinating psychological trait known as the need for cognition, and exploring the very dangerous trap of rumination.
So, picture this. A bat and a ball cost £1 and 10 pence in total. The bat cost exactly £1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost? Take a second, guess the answer to this incredibly famous cognitive reflection test. Now, if your brain instantly screamed 10 pence, hey, you're definitely not alone, but you've actually just been totally tricked by your own intuition.
Because the real answer, it's 5 pence. Think about it. If the ball is 5 and the bat is exactly 100 pence more at 105, they equal 110. It's a brilliant little trick, right? And it perfectly illustrates the core of our explainer today. It highlights the stark, wild difference between our fast, intuitive cognitive processing and our slow, deliberate, analytical processing.
Basically, our brains operate in two totally distinct modes.
System 1, that's your fast, effortless, highly emotional intuition. It's the system that yelled 10 just a second ago. Then you have System 2. This one is slow, deliberate, extremely logical, and demands some serious mental heavy lifting. Now, most people cruise through life primarily in that fast System 1 just to save cognitive energy. But research actually shows that deep thinkers are wired completely differently. They live almost entirely in that effortful System 2, constantly scrutinizing their intuitive responses just to make absolutely sure they're sound.
Section 1. The need for cognition, the joy of mental effort.
So why do some people actually prefer this intense mental heavy lifting? Well, it comes down to a psychological variable known as the need for cognition, or NFC. This is an individual's tendency to intrinsically engage in and genuinely enjoy effortful, complex cognitive tasks. People with a high need for cognition don't just tolerate complex problem solving because they have to for work or school. No, they literally crave it. They are entirely intrinsically motivated to evaluate arguments, spot hidden patterns, and find deep meaning where everyone else just sees noise.
Well, let's look under the hood here. The brain's reward circuits actually release dopamine, specifically when these folks tackle abstract and challenging ideas. It's wild. Glutamate acts like an accelerator pedal, pushing them into this abstract, in-depth exploration, while GABA pumps the brakes on external distractions. That creates this perfectly quiet, calm, internal environment for introspection. Meanwhile, the anterior cingulate gyrus acts as the brain's steering wheel, directing focus and prioritizing these intellectually demanding tasks. This specific neurochemical cocktail creates what we call hyperfocus, allowing deep thinkers to sustain unbelievably long periods of intense concentration and self-directed learning.
And this whole brilliant neural setup is heavily driven by personality traits. Empirical studies highlight that openness to experience is the absolute dominant predictor of the need for cognition, closely followed by conscientiousness. Those high in openness, they're intensely curious, highly imaginative, and exceptionally sensitive to meaning. They basically have the perceptual doors of their minds propped wide open, just absorbing absolutely everything so they can process it deeply.
Section 2. Reflection versus rumination. When the brain's engine gets stuck.
Now, here's where things get tricky. What happens when this massive System 2 processing power turns inward, but there isn't actually a problem to solve? It gets trapped, and that is rumination. It's an anxious, perseverative cognition completely focused on negative aspects of yourself. Unlike healthy reflection, rumination is usually motivated by a fear of failure, threat, or loss. And ultimately, it results in total stagnation. You aren't actually problem-solving anymore, you're just fixated on the problem and how awful you feel about it. To really hammer this home, self-reflection is driven by curiosity. Rumination is driven by fear. It's really that simple. Self-reflection creates psychological distance and forward momentum. You learn, you adapt, you grow. But rumination traps the thinker in self-blame, analysis paralysis, and a persistent, exhausting cycle of negative emotions. It's this agonizing state of cognitive avoidance where your mind endlessly interrogates a problem without ever actually taking action or finding a resolution. Deep thinkers can easily get caught in a hyper-vigilant cycle where behavior, emotion, and cognition endlessly trigger one another. This is often fueled by an overactive default mode network in the brain. That's the system responsible for self-reflection that for deep thinkers basically never switches off.
It loops, it reflects, and it replays, meaning the exact same brilliance that gives you such incredible clarity can suddenly tighten around your mind like a vice.
Section 3. Escaping the rumination trap. Finding balance in the deep end. But we can't just leave you stuck in that loop, right? Interestingly, researchers studying personal informations found that a really simple digital prompt, like just asking yourself, "May I be kind to myself?" acts as a massive circuit breaker for these negative emotional spirals. Treating yourself with intentional self-compassion during times of perceived failure or when you're just feeling completely inadequate significantly reduces rumination and anxiety. It literally stops the cycle of self-blame right in its tracks.
So how do we actually put this into practice? First, embodiment. This means physically grounding yourself in your senses to pull your awareness right back to the present moment, which stops the abstract spiraling. Next, you use what's called wise attention to notice when you're no longer actually gathering new information, but just spinning your wheels on the same old data. And finally, self-compassion, accepting failure without tying it to your actual self-worth. By doing this, you're leveraging neuroplasticity to physically rewire your brain's habits away from that anxious rumination.
Because really, the ultimate revelation for the deep thinker is accepting this profound truth. Not every wound can be solved with understanding. Some things are meant to be felt, not fixed. The goal here isn't to eliminate your thoughts. Your intellect is an absolute superpower. The goal is accepting that peace isn't achieved by endlessly analyzing every little thing until it makes perfect sense. Sometimes the chaotic, messy beauty of life just requires you to experience it. As you navigate your own complex, beautiful, deep thoughts today, I want to leave you with a single powerful question to help you reclaim your mind from all that noise. Ask yourself, does this thought serve you or starve you? Thanks for watching. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe.